About a day or two ago, Tim wrote and said, we were seeking feedback, and he said, well, you know, you need to think about your story. And I always immediately go to Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. How many are you familiar with the hero's journey? So my old job was a storytelling firm, so I immediately went there. And I started to put us all in roles from Harry Potter. In which case Tim was Dumbledore, and I was Harry, hopefully. And then Mevin didn't like that, so we looked at Star Wars. But I haven't seen Star Wars, so this was a challenge. This is her great shame of us working together, is that she hasn't let me to sing Star Wars yet. No time like the present, movie night tonight. So instead we decided we'd tell a personal story, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brian to walk you through the dashboard. So I came on board EdNC way before it was a living, breathing thing, when it was an idea in our co-founders' heads. And so I was at the storytelling firm thinking about the hero's journey and not watching Star Wars. And they came to us and they said, we want to start something that focuses on telling stories about public policy that are not being told. And the idea was largely at the time a once-a-week newsletter that would take people inside of state government in Raleigh and expose stories and provide transparency and serve as a watchdog, which all sounded great. And then we started meddling with this idea. And then we landed on, well, let's publish Monday through Friday on a website. Let's make it as dynamic as possible. Let's publish perspectives. That was a huge debate, the idea of publishing first-person perspectives, because they thought we were going to be the Huffington Post or something, which completely frazzled everyone. And lawyers had to get involved, and part of that is when you're co-founded by a lawyer, it's their head's well, why are we going to get sued? But it was a grand adventure. It was a great idea. And then in the spring of 2013, as we were working on this idea, my wife and I were attacked, and my wife died. She was murdered. And it instantly changed the way I thought about media. Because when Good Morning America is camped outside of your wife's funeral and they ask you to come on and do a live shot the next morning while you're in the pits of your grief, it sort of transforms the way you look at sources and stories from page views to people. And I think that it's transformed the way certainly I approached EdNC, and grateful and ever thankful to our founders that they found Mevin who had the same viewpoint, which is our sources and our stories and our communities remain long after we've moved on to the next news cycle. And so that's kind of personal to us and has been intrinsic to us. And I think that was a big part of our culture. But a big part of Night Lenfest has also been culture shift for us. So as Tim put it, I think even maybe kindly, we were completely data illiterate. I don't think he said completely, but we were data illiterate. And over the course of the last year, we have strived to become data informed. But I think what we're balancing now is both how we look up and sort of look at the data, think about the content, think about the story arc, and think about where we want to go while still staying true to our principles. And so part of that has been letting our people go and do big things, right? Whether it was the Blitz, where we went to all 58 community colleges, or the dashboard. But just to preview, we had been talking about, again, if Tim is Dumbledore or Yoda or whatever storytelling arc you want to use, he had all these questions for us. And if you look at this hero's journey, you think about the refusal of the call. We were definitely refusing the call at this point, because we were I don't have an answer, sounds great, we'll let someone else figure it out, maybe we'll do this challenge, maybe we won't. And then we're nope, we're doing it. And so we go off, we do the Blitz, and one of the things that we told Brian is, well, you're a data scientist, it would probably make sense to let you do data things. That's about as complex as I get with data. And so ahead of the last Night Lenfest challenge, I said, well, why don't you spend a week thinking about how we'll view the data, how we'll go deep. And so he spent the week. I wasn't entirely sure what he was doing. He had a bunch of R code up. It looked completely like Greek. I assumed he was doing something, but I wasn't entirely sure. And then he came out with this dashboard, which we're going to show you today. We're going to flip it a little bit. We're going to go through the dashboard first, because we really want your feedback on it, and as many questions and as many comments as you have, and then we're going to go back and sort of walk you through the story, minus Harry Potter and Star Wars and the rest.